The Man in My Uncle's House. I was a constant rebel when I was a teenager. I never listened to my parents at all. One day, I decided to run away from home, and to be honest, I ran away from home because I thought I was in love. Turns out he wasn't the one for me. After everything was said and done, and I finally came back home to my family where they kept me on their constant watch, I was told by my parents that I was going to live with my uncle in a different city. He was married, but his family was still in Vietnam, so it was just me and him living in the house. He was at work all the time, and I was left alone to either do homework or clean the filthy apartment. Since I hated school with a passion, I opted to clean. I forget what day it was, but I know it was in the afternoon. I had just finished mopping the floor and sat down on the couch to admire my hard work. My uncle didn't have internet or cable since he was never home. The only time he was ever home was to sleep and shower, and then it was back to the grind. As I was saying, I looked at my hard work and sat down on the couch. The flat screen TV that was mounted on the wall in front of me showed my reflection staring back at me. And that's when I felt it. The feeling of my hairs rising on the back of my neck. I felt like I was no longer alone. It felt weird and uneasy. A hot, churning feeling in the pit of my stomach. I didn't know what it was, but I was terrified. I saw in my peripheral a man. He appeared out of nowhere. I didn't know where he came from or anything. I didn't dare look at him, but I was frozen in fear. He had no semblance of a face at all, just a top hat wearing all black. I sat there as this strange apparition inched closer and closer to my face. Finally, I had the strength in my legs to get myself moving. I jumped up off the couch and ran out of the house. I sat outside until my uncle came home. He asked what had happened, and I told him I just needed air. He walked with me back inside because he saw that I was scared. The heavy feeling had disappeared, along with the man in the hat. The laundry room. My husband was previously in the military, and we moved to different places a few times. It was always sad when I had finally met new friends and had to move away, never to see them again or hear from them most of the time. Every so often we would say hi on social media or like each other's random posts, but that was about it. We had just moved to North Carolina from El Paso, Texas, after my husband retired from the military. We didn't have a home to live in just yet, and we were looking to purchase. We had made arrangements with my friend that was gracious enough to let us stay in her home. Needless to say, although we were planning on staying only a few months with my friend, it ended up being a lot longer. We actually stayed there for a little less than a year. Thank goodness for her patience with us. While staying at her home on the Army base, I hated washing my clothes in the laundry room. I constantly made my husband do it. He always made fun of me, saying that I was scared of the dark. I told him it wasn't the dark that I was afraid of, but what lurked in it. The laundry room had this dark feeling inside, and that was what terrified me. The whole house felt like it, but the laundry room was the worst. My husband and friend decided to sit down and ask me why I was so afraid of the laundry room. I said, "There's something evil in there. I don't know what it is, but please don't make me go into the laundry room." I told my husband that, and he was oftentimes at work, and my friend, because she herself was military, was always gone too. I was alone in the house a lot. I hated turning my back to the laundry room. It always freaked me out. So I told my mom about the evil feeling in the house, and she said, if you really want to know if whatever is in the laundry room is evil or if there's anything in there in the first place, just put a banana in front of it, an unripened one. I didn't really believe her, but I went to the store anyway since she seemed pretty certain of what she was talking about. I got myself a bunch of bananas and placed it in front of the door to the laundry room. The next day, I came downstairs and looked at the banana bunch. They were so overripe. There were black marks on it and everything. I knew my husband wasn't going to prank me or anything because he already knew I was terrified. My friend wasn't home, so there really was no way that someone could have switched out the bananas. That was the first sign. I should have just left. I love avocados, and I had also purchased a few from the store. I didn't put them in the front of the laundry room like I did to the bananas. I placed them on the counter. I wanted to eat one for breakfast the next day. I felt for the firmness of the avocado. It definitely was a little on the harder side and almost ripe, but I like my avocados that way. I cut it open, and the inside was rotten, completely rotten. Blackened flesh with a hollow seed. I immediately threw the avocado away into the trash. I ran to my husband and told him what had happened. What could I do? It wasn't my house to try to burn sage or even call a priest to try to bless it, especially if my friend that I lived with didn't believe in things like this. I decided to mainly stay in my room for most days and nights after that incident occurred. My friend has 2 dogs, and they normally scratch our bedroom door to let them in so they can climb into bed with us. One of the mornings, I heard them running up the stairs, but they didn't scratch our door this time. They growled at something in the hallway. This wasn't playful growling either. It was ferocious, angry growling, and it gave me the chills. They growled loudly for what seemed like 3 minutes. My husband and I just sat there, staring at the door as they were growling at whatever it was. The unexplained incidents became more frequent, such as a falling backpack when nobody touched it, or a bolted picture frame that fell off the wall. I'm glad my husband and I finally found ourselves a permanent home and moved out. We burned sage and blessed it, and now I'm happy and can rest easier. But for sure, I never want to set foot into my friend's terrifying house ever again.